This report is a sampling of one corporate location and 14 franchisees for an organization that has a total of 420 units at the time of this report. The company name is withheld to respect privacy, but the data is a real 90-day snapshot of social and content activity for 15 locations. By reporting on a sampling of locations, we are able to begin to immediately provide relevant observations and recommendations for improvements to the brand's digital marketing plan. All observations and recommendations are subject to a more thorough review of the franchise system as a whole when we begin a Franchise 360 subscription and/or manage social and content services with a brand. In this first page of the report, we see the key highlights identify things like the number of locations, the strongest performing location in the franchise system, as is commonly true. In this case, it is corporate. And in this page, we also see a summary of the total number of posts and engagements for all 15 locations. Our Franchise 360 report assigns a Content Marketing Index score to the organization overall and also calculates scores for individual locations. In this franchisor's case, the organizational score is 21 out of 100. Lots of room for improvement, and here's how we start defining where focus should be placed to gain improvement. With 21 active channels, the minimum target number of posts for this 90-day period was 3,780, so this brand is actually publishing at almost 146% of its target. Over-publishing would appear to indicate that this brand has their content production and distribution processes streamlined and managed pretty well, but we need to dig deeper into the data by location to find the really valuable information that should affect strategy going forward. The organizational score is low because the majority of publishing and engagement is happening only for corporate. This brand is not extending their corporate success with social and content down to the local level. Identifying 17 dormant channels across only 15 locations indicates that there's not enough monitoring in place protecting the brand's digital footprint. We're left wondering how many dormant channels we would have identified if we profiled all 420 units. If these results are any indication, this brand could have almost as many dormant channels online as active channels. Here we're able to see individual location scores. Corporate scores a 96 out of 100, and one other location, which is actually the entire territory of Mexico, has a high score of 90 out of 100. However, organizational problems are indicated here by the 13 other locations having much lower scores. Ultimately, working with a brand, we use the graph in page 4 to help benchmark and track our progress in lifting the scores for the entire organization. Here we see location-specific breakdown for posting and engagement activity. As I mentioned before, illustrated here is the issue that this brand is successfully executing on social and content for the corporate brand, but there's a lack of posting activity and engagement for each business unit. Let me break this down in numbers to make it easier to understand. Corporate has 6 channels, only 3 of which are they actively publishing to. For 3 active channels, their target posting number would have been 540 posts. Since they've published 3,396 posts in 90 days, they're actually producing at 629% of their minimum target. We would suggest this indicates that corporate does have resources and opportunity to focus that extra 529% to be supporting their franchisees in some capacity. Our recommendation for this brand would be to evaluate how to start better supporting local, social, and content activities to build local brand awareness with a priority focus to drive business growth at that local level. The location represented here as Store 143 is all of Mexico and is also exceeding their target publishing at 401% for the 2 channels associated with this territory. Over-publishing would not necessarily be flagged as an issue for a brand, except that the remaining location scores and posting and engagement activity clearly indicate all other locations are being left to their own devices and not being provided any assistance. A brand's top 30 posts review as compared to a competitor's 360 report helps us know what kind of content is performing best with your online audience and also a target audience that you want to take from competitors. It's always a great starting point for clues to planning your editorial calendar. In addition, looking at the top 30 to see if any locations besides corporate are represented is a great way for us to identify if local online audiences are engaging with the brand. In this report, we see that only corporate is represented, further supporting our findings that local activity is not at the level it should be. In our post activity by platform and reaction to post ratios graphs, we see that Twitter posting far exceeds Facebook posting for this brand, almost 6 times more than Facebook. But their Twitter audience figure is actually only a 26.3% engaged audience compared to a 34.2% engagement rate on Facebook. Media distribution charts demonstrate that video has the highest reaction ratio for this brand, which is very common, and most brands realize that rich media pulls the best engagement, but few've mastered the production process to get enough video out to their audience with consistent messaging or enough entertainment value that it can be sustained. The interesting thing about video for this brand is that when we dug into the data, we found that they actually had an Instagram video that, when pushed to Facebook, got much more engagement than it did on Instagram. Channel and organizational overviews and detailed listings of channels for each location provide a comprehensive diagnostic and management tool that has never been available to brands before. Talk with Cadence 9 today about getting your own Franchise 360 report and learn more about the 360 subscription for ongoing monitoring and data-driven analysis.